Hello guys and welcome to round 5 of the Simpit ACC League here, hosted by Sim Racing GP. Cars currently out on track for their free practice. Tonight in the booth with me again we have Mr. Josh. I don't know if he's here just yet, but he is going to be with me for the race. Jason, welcome. Hope everything's doing good at your end. We'll just have a look at Natalie. She's out in her BMW. So this first time this season we do have a Mr. John Crane with us. Unfortunately his livery has not shown. I don't know if he has downloaded the livery pack yet or not. But he is out with us. He is in his bright yellow Aston Martin as always. So it's good to see him out on the grid with us this week. He did say he was not going to be able to make all events, so it is good to see him out here today. I do apologise for my mouse covering up some information, occasionally flicking up on screen. I do need to make it so it cannot show it at all. So as you can see, everyone's race numbers down the side of their grid. Everyone's going to see this is a very tight pit entrance. This is what everyone's going to have to work on for today, because it is a very awkward entry. As we look at Natalie, just running just on the right line. You don't want to go too wide, but you are allowed to go wide there. Chris Gianarelli in his BMW. Mr. Heiko Sherman. Mr. Callum McLeod in Mercedes. Brandon Cole is here in his Honda. Just clicking through. Our newest driver, Mr. Stefan McAfee, he is in his Porsche. As we look from the inboard now of Mr. Callum McLeod in his Mercedes. A little bit too right? No, just right. So we're going to come from the main data down to... Let's have a look. What should we run right now? Let's have a look at the session best. Yeah, let's have bring up their personal best lap times for now. So this is everyone's lap times that they are putting in currently in qualifying free practice. John Crane's currently in the fastest with a 1:57.787. Should be a very competitive lap time today. The track at the moment is not in the best conditions. It is very cold this morning on the track. It currently is 17 degrees and track temp, so very cold for the guys. The cars don't tend to like this cold as much. They prefer it to be a little bit warmer. So track conditions I don't believe are in optimal. I believe they are in a green state at the moment. It's one thing we can check by going into game. Yeah, the track is fast conditions at the moment, as we can see in the top right hand side. We'll just bring that back into drive so we can get out of that screen as quick as possible. There we go. The longer I stay in that screen, unfortunately we do start to lag. So I try to keep that to a minimum as possible. Just got to bring it around to the blank HUD. There we go, so I can come out there. So if it's now hidden that we don't want to be shown, as we do have our own information on the screen. So currently with fast track conditions, cars won't be at their best. Lap times are still not going to be optimal either. Hopefully the track will rub it in by the time we get into the very last bits of qualifying. As we have a look from the helmet cam of Alesh Mob. Alesh is one of the guys in the top current standings. I will go over our current standings as they are before we get into the end of round 5. So in first place we have a tie. We have Mr. Heiko Sherman and Chris Gianarelli. In third place is Alesh Mum. In fifth place, in joint. Oh yes, so we had one person drop out, so it has messed up this unfortunately. So then we have Natalie Lee in her BMW, followed by Callum McLeod. They are both on the same points as well. Then we have Amir Assad in his BMW, Phantom Racing in 8th, Brandon Cole in 8th as well. Kevin Estep in P10 in the championship at the moment. Mr. James Downing is in 11th in the championship. Sean Cole is 11th. Devon Booth in his Bentley, he is 14th. We've only made it to one round so far. And Cafex in Mr. Roger Clark, he is in 14th as well. We also have Mr. Alex Lafos, who won't be with us today as it's unfortunately due to his work pattern. He's only to make every other race, as we said last week. So he is down in 16th and obviously in 17th with no races done, but he is here today. Currently in P2 is Mr. John Crane. So that's our current championship point standings. Sorry, well, position standings, not current on the points just yet. I'll most likely bring them up at the start of the next round. I'll make sure I have a screenshot that shows everyone's positions and how everyone's getting on. So we're currently looking at the fastest car track, Mr. Andrew Jazki. I was saying his name incorrectly last week. He has helped me with the pronunciation, what is very nice of him, so I'm very happy for that. Stefan is doing, he hasn't put a lap time in just so far, but keep an eye on him. He is in one of the Porsches. I don't believe the main boss from the Simpit has turned up yet, Mr. Sean Cole. So I will just message him through Discord to see if he is getting on track. So I'll message him just so he gets that message. Ah, we do have a Josh. How are you?
Yeah, I was just away getting lunch. That's why I wasn't in.
No worries. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So here at Simpit Paul Ricard.
Yep.
It's my best French.
I wouldn't blame it. It's not the best, but it's also not the best track, as we all know with this circuit.
It's stripes upon stripes.
Yeah.
It's
So
basically zebra.
Yeah, but the good thing about this place is, because it was mainly used as a test facility, there is so many layouts at this track that they could use. The one we use today is the fast back straight, so it's literally a dead line straight. The blue painted lines is actually, the painted lines are actually gripped. So the blue lines are a more grippier surface than the black line, the black racing line, and the red stripes are actually a very, very abrasive. And these actually are that aggressive, they will actually slow you down like a conventional gravel trap. So this is what the new thing is by having those painted lines, is actually a way that they can have the gravel traps technically without actually having gravel traps. Just making sure I can see the screen a little bit clearer myself. So it does look like I'm still waiting on Mr. Sean Cole to see if he's going to show up. We currently have 13 drivers out in the server. What's nice to see today. Practice has only got 5 more seconds left to go, and then we'll be going into qualifying. So just as the session's ending, we'll click over and have a look at the overlay, so you can have a look around the track. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking over the circuit. Very, very technical track, but it's also extremely fast. Every corner here is near enough a late apex corner. It has catched out quite a few guys through the qualifying, through the free practice sessions that we've been running, and also through free practice today as well. So we're just waiting on the circuit to go green into the qualifying session, because I will need to adjust the screens on my end just for that session, and it's just flicked over now. So I will just bear with me 1 minute. So the track conditions are still fast. They are not the optimal conditions that the guys were most likely hoping for. But overall, I would rather have it in the fast conditions than a green circuit, or even worse, a greasy circuit or damp. Those two conditions are some of the worst conditions to race in, so we'll get back over now as we are into the first stages of qualifying. I will change the personal best now up to their qualifying best deltas. So those numbers now that are currently blacked out are going to be showing as a green box or red box. We want everyone to preferably have green boxes, means they are improving on their lap times throughout the race. Also, as I like to give a good shout out to the guys over at ACC TV. These are the guys who do bring us these lovely overlays that we are using today. Plus also the Simpit sponsors. We've got Rick Tech, also have RC on board. And of course we're using the Sim Racing GP service for our servers today. They are one of the best for it. They make everything very easy, very manageable, all in one place job. So it makes that easier for us to do. And obviously we can't be anywhere without the lovely game of ACC given to us by Kunos. Without the game being here, we wouldn't be racing here today. So it's good to see everyone's getting out on circuits. A few people are still in the pit. There's still 4 cars in pit lane at the moment. So looks like Miss Natalie Lee. She's just taking her time getting some more temperatures in those tyres. Just having a click through the cameras at the moment, just having to make sure all our camera systems are working on all the cars. So, one person I do want to have a look at is Mr. Stevens. Just want to go through his camera views. There we are. I do have the website on the front there of his splitter, so you'll be able to see exactly who we are. Thesimpit.com. So first few cars are on circuit now. They'll show green now, but even though the lap times are in relative because there has been no official lap times put in, so they will do a massive jump at the start because the time that they are sit on pit lane and their out lap is considered as a lap time. So we'll have to wait for their first flying laps to come in to get the correct relatives on the screen for you. Josh, who have you got your money on today?
Oh, let's see. There's quite a number of drivers here that could definitely kind of surprise us. So we're like, well, we expected that. But at the moment, I do see Chris Gianelli at the top of the board, along with Les Mom and Amir San.
Yeah, currently
Maybe they could take the one.
Yeah, currently no lap times have been posted. This is just from the order that they joined the server in, so.
Yeah.
But again, we also got to watch out for guys. These guys have a 10-minute pit window in the hour race where they have to change tyres, and the pit entry here is a very awkward pit entry. As you come out of the last corner, it's a long start straight. You actually have to turn a good 45 degrees to the right hand side to get in, and then instantly turn left near enough, and that's where the marker board is for this pit lane speed limit. And also the most hardest bit I think of this entire thing is you come out directly on the racing line. So when you're coming out that pit, if you've got someone who's coming down that straight right against the pit wall, it can cause some absolute chaos. So as you can see here, from Amir Sar's car, that pit entry is just here. It's such a sharp entrance. And you'll see, just as we come along the front here, you'll see there's the pit exit line, and they are now in that pit exit. So you can see there could be some, unfortunately, there could be some contact while someone's coming out the pit. So I hope that doesn't happen today. So
that could be a record too.
Yeah. So currently, our fastest driver on track is Amir Assad with a 1:57.075. That is a very, very quick time. That's the quickest time I've seen anyone do, including in free practice. Especially in these conditions anyway. Let's just see how everyone carries on. He's down on his lap time at the moment. He's half a second down. John Crane is on a faster lap now, but he is on his first actual flying lap. We're losing quite a lot of time there. He is 6/10 down on his time at the moment, down 7 seconds. Ken Estep is up on his lap time. Chris Generelli, he's on his improving on his time as well. So even though you want as minimum amount of downforce going down this back straight, you really do need it in the corners here. So it's one of those ones. It's a coin flip. Do you run the high downforce for the corners, or do you run the low downforce for the straight and then suffer in the corners? That's the thing. I personally, I would say I would want a mid to high downforce setup on this track. Purely for the fact that, Ken gets very loose there with Callum McLeod right behind him here. Callum's going to dive the Mercedes up the inside. Oh, Callum getting very loose. Callum's now unfortunately dirtied his lap. Just getting loose there behind Ken. So just having a look at everyone's lap times at the moment. So Mirasad's now on a new lap. That's why he's now shown as green. So it's all about the exit of that last corner to get this down the straight. What I tend to do is drop down some traction control and then absolutely bury my foot in the throttle to get as much power out of the corner as possible. If I was Callum McLeod right now, then I would want to back off. Not use the toe at all from Ken, as Ken does go off in the first corner exit. As Chris Generelli's gone fastest now with a 156.750. So he's 3/10 up on Mr. Amir Assad. Alesh Mum is on a faster lap as well. John Crane's on a faster lap. Callum McLeod, James Dowding. Ken Estep, as we know, has dirtied his lap, so his lap time will not be counting. As Heiko Sherman's gone up into third now with a 157.1. So some times are coming in now. We'll click over to our newest driver on the grid, Mr. Stephen McAfee in the Porsche. He wanted to use his green and purple, so we made him a very striking livery. The Porsche is going to struggle here today, though, as its top end speed is not the best, but its cornering speed should help it massively here. As we look back from Mr. James Dowding's Audi. What we'll do is I'll turn our autopilot system off for a minute and we'll go through every person's car. As Amir Assad's got it even faster, 156.5. You say no, Chris, you are not having pole. This is mine this time. So as we look now from Amir Assad's car, looking back. Just going to click through our TV cameras just to make sure we get the ones that I would love to use. Don't believe I actually implied the one I wanted for this race, unfortunately. That's no worries for you guys. So Amir Assad is firing down the back straight. We'll look at P2, Mr. Chris Generelli, he's in the pit lane. Natalie Lee, she's up into third now, she's also in pit lane as well. Andrew Jansky's just coming across the start. Now there you see, there's the merge I was on about. It could cause some issues there. So we will have to keep him out. So Mr. Heiko Sherman, he's in the pit as well. So currently at the moment it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 BMWs at the front. Followed by Mr. John Crane in the Aston Martin in 6th. Alesh Mum is in 7th in his BMW. So that's where all the BMWs are. They're all at the top at the moment. Let's hope some more of the other cars can start breaking them down and go, no, it's not going to be a BMW manufacturer win. Bring it down to Callum McLeod is way off track at the moment. He's down in 8th. Mr. Devon Booth in the Bentley. He is currently 9th fastest on track. He's improving. He's 3 tenths up on his time. 3 tenths will put him into P8. So McAfee again in his BMW. He's in P10 at the moment. James Dowding, who we just looked at in the Audi, he's down in 11th. Ken Estep is in his Ferrari. He's down in 12th. And the person I'm surprised at the moment, he actually, that's the reason why. Mr. Brandon Cowell hasn't put a lap time. This will be his first lap time. There's only a 2:01.8. That's really surprising me, considering the Honda here should be one of the most powerful cars with its high top end speed. Very surprised how far back he is there. Which will get the cameras to run their automatic programming, so they'll flick through. Just keep an eye on how everyone's doing through qualifying. So we look over now to Chris generally. Currently in P2, he is up on his time. Can he push Amir Assad out of first with 8 minutes? Just over 8 minutes to go. Looking now from his helmet cam. As we look back through the back window here of Mr. John Crane's car. Unfortunately, guys, I do wish that the ACC TV overlays and Sim Racing GP talk to each other nicely, because we have seen it. If we run this in another server that's not hosted by Sim Racing GP, the drivers' national flags that you can see on that bottom right hand side, a little blue flag there, that should show each driver's country of origin's flag, but unfortunately for some reason ACC TV and Sim Racing GP do not communicate that information to each other, so it will not show it. It is a shame, because we have seen it.
It is, but I guess because of the confusion about what country they're from.
Yep. I could go over it, but the answer is I'm not going to, because we'll be here all day long. Especially with Amir Assad, because we could turn around and say, well, his Sim Racing GP says he's German. But as we know, Amir is American. So, we could get into very good stories about that all. As we are looking through everyone. Chris is up massively. He's only up 1 second. He's up 7 tenths at the moment. As Andrew Jazki just put in the fastest time with Chris right behind him. So that's pushed Amir from first to third, because those two cars are running line astern at the moment. Brandon Cowell's put a better lap time in now. He's now on the 2-minute mark. So we see through from Andrew. He's just looking at that. He's going to back out. So he's going to return to pits. We'll have a helicopter view from Mr. John Crane as he's come across the start line. Luckily at the moment there has been no contact between everyone else. Well, it is good. I do have our other program actually working today, so we will be able to do live timing, we will be able to do live stewarding. So any naughtiness, any contact, we will be able to punish the drivers by giving them the correct penalties, whether it be a time penalty or a drive-through, or even if it's so bad, what I don't believe any of our drivers would do, considering our community is such a very nice, loving community. Will always behave. We should not have to give a stop-go 30, or even worse, disqualify anyone. Disqualifying is something we don't want to do to absolutely anyone, but again, we are open from esports pros all the way to the person who's just picked up this game. We're always here to help. All deliveries that you've seen today, unfortunately John's not here showing his livery. That's purely for the fact of it could be that his livery hasn't uploaded the livery pack, as he is only here for a very, very small selected amount of rounds for this year. So unfortunately his livery is not going on, but all the other cars' liveries today have been done by myself. That's why they're also running custom number boxes on the side and not running the standard number boxes. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at next season. It's going to be starting in September, of running GT4 cars, not to GT3s. So that should throw a bit of a screw at people, because not many people have put much time into the GT4s. Myself, I have done lots of GT4 racing. I am actually a GT4 racing driver in real life. So I do have a lot of information when it comes to the GT4s. As Mr. John Crane is putting them up. I am clicking through left and right, ladies and gentlemen, just through lap times, just so I can keep an eye on that. So Heiko's now into first, so Amir's down to fourth now. So our fastest lap time at the moment is 1:56.0. That is a very, very quick time. Chris is actually up on his lap time by 2/10. He only needs a 1/10 to get into first. So can he pull it together in this very last section? He's only got a couple of corners left to go. So can he pull it together and get through and put this car back on pole? Also, that we've just seen that Andrew is out on circuit. He's improving still as well. I don't believe this is going to be enough. This is going to be extremely tight if he can keep it. Oh my god, he is 0.02 of a second off. Chris's lap time there was a 1:56.057 with Andrew's fastest of a 1:56.037. So he looks like Chris wants that one more lap, because he's only going to get one more lap. So Chris is going to have to get out, do a lap, and then absolutely fire another fast lap out. So it does look like we are not having Mr. Sean Cole come out and race with us today.
Sean?
Yeah, Mr. Sean's not here. I did message him to see if he was making a lovely appearance for us today. Unfortunately, he has not showed up, unfortunately. I'm just trying to sort out some bits and bobs for you guys in the chat. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. So, can Chris put this car onto pole position? If you're not on our Discord, I'm just dropping the link in there now. Click that and you'll be able to join us for the coming up races. Also, we host stuff on iRacing. We do iRacing Road Series. We also do iRacing Oval Series. We're also just breaking into doing races for the summer. We are doing some races on Race Room. We are also doing races on Automob Ballista 2. We'll also be doing some fun races again in ACC over the series, over the summer as well. Also, our Patreon races that we do for our Patreons that are only can be found through joining, obviously, into the Discord as well. Because if you're in the Discord, that's where you'll get all your invites, as well as you'll get them via emails as well. You preferably want them through that time. So I don't know why Lesh is going back out on pit with only 5 seconds left. He's not going to get onto another fast lap. So most cars are in pit lane. So it's only two cars who can prove it. Chris is down half a second. Heiko is up on his time, but he's only 1/10 up. Heiko needs to find 5/10 of a second, because 4/10 of a second will put him dead on the exact same time as Chris. I do apologise there.
Alright.
Only slightly.
Oof.
So, can Heiko improve? Chris is down by 2/10. I don't believe he can get that back up. As Heiko gets a massive load of understeer there. All his time he was up, he just unfortunately just lost. He's still up a tiny bit though. 9,000th, now 10th. This is not going to be a big enough improvement though. He is going to be... Oh, he's half a second up now though. Can he put it down? No, Heiko has bailed out, and Chris Generelli also not improving on his time. So we're going to have a look at the overview just as we are getting on to the grid for you guys for today. So we're going to do a walkthrough of the grid. So I do apologise for it being a little bit bouncy at the moment. Just trying to get onto the right pages for us. So we'll have a look through the current grid order of the cars, as it's just shooting us to the back. So we'll go to free camera and we'll not do that. So the track is now optimum, so that is going to be good for the drivers. I just need to turn off the autopilot of the camera system so it doesn't keep snapping around when we don't want it to. Thank you, ACC. We do hate you now and then, but we also love you. So at the front, it's all of our BMWs, pretty much. So we've got Andrew Jatsky in first, Chris Generelli in second, Mr. Heiko Sherman in third, Amir Assad in his BMW, he is P4. Miss Natalie Lee in her BMW in 5th place. Mr. John Crane in his BMW, Aston Martin. You can see how many BMWs I've got in my head here. Mr. Devon Booth in his Bentley in P6. Les Mum in P7. Callum McLeod in P8. P9 is Stephen McAfee. P10. I do actually believe I got numbers wrong here, so I do apologise. But that's through our grid. I do apologise for it skipping as well. The guys are now going to be on the move, so we are going to switch over. Get out of this view for you. There we go. It's back to normal as well. So we're now go to the broadcaster screen. We are going to go from the helicam. We are turning the autopilot off as we watch over the start. Let's keep an eye on turn 1 and turn 2. There might be a few instances in that point due to the fact of how tight it is. We do have our race controls up, so we can keep an eye on any contact that's going to happen between the cars. Alesh Mum looks like they've got a nice start. Going 3 wide, Alesh diving. Still diving, very nice there. Andrew Jansky is pulling away. Up at the front. So Mr. John Crane has fallen back a few places, it looks like. Devon Booth has gained a load of places. Booth is up into 6th place here now. Big dive there for Alesh. Callum McLeod had to get on the brakes there. Of course, a little bit of contact between a few. It is saying there was contact between Alesh and Mr. Callum McLeod. I don't think there was any contact between those. I'm saying there was contact between Callum McLeod and Stephen McCarthy, because McCarthy actually went into the back of Mr. Callum McLeod.
Oh, that was a chain reaction.
Yeah. So we'll go over to the auto cameras now. Just make sure so they can keep an eye on everything for us. But the gaps, guys, I am going to
Terry.
have to change that for us.
Terry, he says, "Holy crap! I forgot it was Tuesday."
Terry, what are you doing, my friend?
Hashtag blame Terry.
So, this is the current position delta. As you can see, who's gained, who's lost positions on that start. No, Terry, you literally just made it for the start of today's race, so not too bad. Chris Generelli is still in P2. So guys, we'll bring it over to the race gaps now. So you can see the gaps between each car on track. This is where you find out all your tight information. Actually, that's one other thing I haven't added. Josh, you didn't remind me. We got to put our little orange bars there. Those orange
Oh.
bars, guys, lets us have the information of who has not taken their pit stops yet. There is a mandatory pit window that will open at the 35-minute mark and will close at the 25-minute mark. So they have 10 minutes in the middle of the race to come in and take a mandatory stop to change tyres. No worries, Terry. I can see that you're coming. Oh, so you're really struggling today. So don't blame you for being late, but naughty, Mr. Terry Crouch. So it says only been a little bit of contact at the start so far. Everyone else has been clean. I think it's going to be mainly the pit lane today. That's where our main struggle is going to be for the drivers. James Downing has now overtaken Aleshman down to 10th. So we are still getting some false information on those flags because the centers they're slow. I don't believe they are. Callum McLeod just flashed on the yellow flag though. I think he went wide. Yeah, Callum's fallen back 2 more places, so that's pushed Mr. James Downing and Alesh up. Does look like he's gone a little bit too wide there. It looks like he's coming for the cut in, like the apex. Stephen McAfee there in his Porsche, he was saying, no, you've gone a bit too wide. I'm going to sit on this inside. Also, Circuit de Castellet this weekend, GT World Challenge, also known as here, Paul Ricard. So you get to see the sim race first, which was hosted by us, but also this weekend, the GT World Challenge Endurance Championship. So the 3-hour races are going to be here this weekend. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And also next weekend we have Le Mans with the introduction of more hypercars turning up. So that should be interesting. And also the last year of GTE. What Mr. Stefan Rattel as well as Mr. John Hindhoff turned around and said, GT3s, they shouldn't be going there. They're not ready. As unless Mums had another squirrely moment. Did they lose it on the brakes coming in to turn number 3? Very unusual there. There's nothing saying that there was any contact between them at all. So Chris Generelli at the moment is the fastest car on track. His lap time of 1:56.62. Andrew Jansky's though his first lap he actually did not put a valid lap time in, so that's why his lap time's not shown on my screen. But he is just slightly ahead. This is where all the help is going to help. Running lower downforce along that straight, but unfortunately it's going to be absolutely mad going down there. Alesh killing people there. No, I think Alesh killed himself there and dropped back.
Yeah.
What is really bad for Alesh, because currently Alesh is 3rd in the championship. So if you remember guys, we went through the championship standings earlier on. The top 2 of Heiko Sherman and Chris Generelli are actually tied on points at the moment. Then it's Alesh Mum in 3rd. Miss Natalie Lee in 4th. Actually in joint 4th, I should say here, is also Callum McLeod. And then you have Mr. Amir Assad, Andrew Jansky, Brandon Carl, Ken Estep, James Downing, Jeff Wills. Then we have Mr. Sean Cole, Devon Booth, Mr. Roger Clark, and Alex Lafros. And then obviously bringing up the very rear is Mr. John Crane, because this is his first race with us for this season. Terry says Carl needs to stop sucking. In which manner do you mean? Because this could be in two different ways for Mr. Carl, I say. But yes, he is really struggling in the Honda here today. The Honda should be really powerful down this back straight. Even without the toe of anyone else, he should be able to really hammer that car, because its top speed is one of the best in the game. But again, top speed could be great. Corning could be the issue. As Andrew and Chris Generelli, these two are fighting for position. I do not know why our system is not paying more attention to this. As we have more people turning up in chat. Welcome, guys. We are here every week possible. As long as my system doesn't go kaput, we will be streaming these races every single week here on this channel. Carl is all the suck at the moment. Oh, he definitely needs the suck. His car, he should be way up faster than he is. He's currently 1.3 seconds away from Malash. What's not ideal, but not the worst. So we will have to keep an eye on that. So, Mr. John Crane has now overtaken Mr. James Dowling for position. Mr. John Crane is there. You just see, this is the worst camera angle for the Aston Martin. I do apologise for that, ladies and gentlemen. These two are still swapping positions here. So these two fighting for position this hard is letting Callum McLeod climb back up in that Mercedes. And the Mercedes grunt coming out of a corner can really help him here. So these two are getting a little bit dicey. Can Callum McLeod capitalise on this and get that toe and get pulled down the straight and get involved in the fight? Just checking through little things I can do at my end just to help. Setting, I can't get one. So we're looking back from James's car here at that Aston Martin. You can see the Mercedes right up behind as well. So we've got a nice little group fight going on here. As we are now just coming up to 10 minutes into the race now, so guys are settling down into their pace, but still at the same time they are still pushing as hard as possible for all this. So guys, as we said, the guys at the front is pretty much all BMW again. Top 5 are all BMWs, and the lead has changed again here. But did he take the lead by going wide? Chris Gianarelli is now up into first, so there was a bit of a change there. So Chris Gianarelli is now in first. Andrew Jaski is in second. Hiker is 3.4 seconds down. Surprised to see him that far down, to be honest. Yeah, exactly, Terry, especially for this track. We would expect them to be a little bit more spaced out by now. So we go BMW, 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 BMW. That's your top 5. Then it's Bentley with Mr. Booth up into 6th place. James Downing in 7th in the Audi. John Crane in his Aston Martin. In 8th, Callum Cloud. 9th in Mercedes. In 10th, we have Mr. Stephen McAfee in his first race of us in the Porsche. Alesh Mum in the BMW. He's unfortunately waved down from where he qualified.
Yeah, he's
Mr.
definitely down there.
Brandon Carl in 12th in the Honda, and bringing up the rear is Mr. Ken Estep, but he is still pushing his way up. He's had a few incidents, he's unfortunately 13 seconds off Carl. So it does look like he's struggling around this track. It is one that you've got to be so precise on.
But what's crazy is that
Keep
the
it right.
BMW is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly. Having all those
Like,
cars up
damn.
front really is putting a nail in the coffin, saying no, BMW here is good.
It's BMW joy, everybody else sadness.
Yeah. Like I said, we are not adding any ballast. We are not doing any changes to BOP this season. We will look at doing BOP changes in season 4. No, season 5, sorry. No, sorry, yes, it will be season 4. When we return to GT3s, as season 3, we are going to be doing GT4s. This track has aids. I wouldn't say aids, I would say very, very special characteristics. Very special. As we know, the guy who made this circuit is also the same person who made Yas Marina. So some of his tracks can be good, some of his tracks can be very, very bad.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Look at the gap Chris has pulled from Andrew now. He's 2.3 seconds clear. Now he's got past Andrew. I think he's now putting his foot down as Mr. John Crane really piling on the pressure here from Mr. James Dowding. So take it nice and steady through there. Oh, little twitch there for John. Callum McLaren is sticking with his pack. Stephen McAfee, he's fallen off now. Alesh Mum is caught back up to him. As we look from the onboard camera. Mr. John Crane's car looking at the back of that Audi. There may be a colour scheme change for that car. Not design change, just a colour scheme. So keep an eye on that for maybe next round. As next round, we are going to the lovely, the very, very hot track of Mount Panorama in Bathurst. So that's going to be a very, very tight, awkward track for guys to head with.
Yeah, they're gonna be careful going up that hill and coming right down that hill.
I was gonna say, coming over Skyline into the dipper, come down into Forest Elbow. That section of the track is the most pinpoint accurate track you have to be at. Going through that section, if you're slightly off, you are going to be pinballing off those walls. You're going to be bouncing left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way down.
You're going to have to be copy pasting your driving each lap.
Oh yes, and also the Audi Sport cutting as well. If you think, ladies and gentlemen, you are turning and having to brake at the same time, and GT3 cars, they do not. It's Callum McLeod goes for an absolute sideways moment there through the the right hand turn, coming off that back straight. That is a trait of the Mercedes. If you're not got the car balanced at that point, the car will slide. It's done it on me a lot of times. So that's gonna be an awkward.
Yeah.
As we look at Stephen McAfee now, right behind Alesh Mum. Chris Generelli's just put a new fastest lap of 1:56.370. That is very good for race pace, especially this early on. As we are now just under 10 minutes. Devin Booth has overtaken Amir Assad. Amir Assad is in the pits early. Why is Amir Assad in the pits so early? We're going to have to look at his car here.
7 laps. On lap 8.
Would you believe it? Mr. Amir Assad had a drive-through penalty for track limits.
Oh, is that what it
That
is?
is massive
Dang.
for Amir Assad there. That is a massive kick in the nuts for his run in the championship.
That was a
But
kick
this
in the
track
England
is
manifold.
very, very prolific on track limits, especially that corner coming out of the back straight. Because you are going so fast on there and you have to turn. And you can run wide there. But if you run wide just a little bit too much, it'll say no track limits on you. And because of the speed you're going there, it's near enough guarantee you're not going to be able to lift off enough to slow up to not gain time, and it give you that time penalty and give you that drive through.
That back straight though here at Paul Ricard, how long it is, it just gives me like,
It is
Le Mans
very long
vibes
there.
before the late
Yep.
80s chicanes were added.
Well, that's the thing.
Just flat out all the way down, and then you gotta slow the vehicle down for the next series of corners.
Well, that's the thing. This is literally the test bed for Le Mans, because there's no other circuit that has that exact the length of straight that is nearly the same as Le Mans. So this is why they do a
Damn.
lot of the testing for the LMP cars here at Paul Ricard. This is why this place is known as the big test bed in Europe, other than going to the Nordschleife.
And where it gets its handling ruined.
Yep. So,
That's a James May
unfortunately, as we
reference.
said, yep. So, unfortunately for Amir, that's put him down into 12th. He was up in 5th place. That's a big, big shame for Amir Assad there.
Man, I'm surprised they haven't put like Le Mans style chicanes on the Paul Ricard back straight yet.
Well, that's why there is those different track layouts here. Is so they could put the chicanes in if they really want to do. But for the GT World Challenge, we use this layout where it is literally flat out down the back straight. The GT4 race, that's a support race for the GT World Challenge, actually does do the chicanes. So it's only the GT3 cars that they let full blast down this back straight. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to leave you with Mr. Josh here, giving you the commentary. I'll be back in 1 minute.
1 minute and counting. 0.
And I'm back. I just need to have a quick drink there. But as I was watching that, did you see how wide Mr. John Crane was coming out of that back straight?
Just...
That's pushing those limits, as I said. That is going a little bit too wide. Yes, he was inside of the markers that are on the side of the track before the end of the turn, but that was a little bit too wide there. As it does look like Callum McLeod has fallen right back now from this pack. So Amir Assad on his pit lane drive-through time, he was in for 30 seconds. So his drive-through time was bang on time. So that's saying to me, the guys, when they come onto pit road for their official time for their mandatory stop, will be opening very shortly. They should be on pit road for literally 1 minute flat, maybe just over. As we know, tyre change in the game does take 30 seconds. They can refuel at the same time as having their tyres changed. So, has guys taken half fuel and going to be topping up halfway through, or have they gone, let's go safe, go full tank, so they can get used to the car being consistent, stable with lowering fuel levels, or going that half and half and going, okay, the car feels light now, the tyres are starting to get worn out, and when I get new tyres I want that same feeling as I had at the start. Again, that is a good question to see what drivers are doing on their strategies. We could make it so they still have to take a mandatory pit stop but have no pit window. We could do that, but we are following as close as we can to the GT World Challenge sprint rules. The only thing that we're not doing is a driver swap. So if you're doing the sprint rules, we would also be doing a driver swap in this session. But we are not doing that. We are doing single driver per car. So we're able to keep an eye on who's who, make it easier on the drivers. We will be looking at doing a endurance event in the new year. I'm looking at doing something for charity, so hopefully we'll be able to get as many drivers as possible involved. Trying to get other communities to come in as well, take part. It is something that I'm going to be talking to Mr. Sean Cole about. And also, in a couple of months' time, we're going to be having a new DLC coming out. What tracks are coming? It's been rumoured to be GT World Challenge America. Are we going to get it? We've already seen signs of Kota in the screenshots from the last update. Is it going to happen? If it does, we are going to be hosting on Fridays a very small, it won't be as long as these races, they're going to be just very short races, so it's going to be straight into qualifying. I'll do a 15-minute qualifying for it, 40 and a maybe 45, maybe a half-hour race. I haven't decided yet. Very, very small GT World Challenge America circuits only. So Kota will be in there, Laguna Seca will be in there, and whatever the other circuits that have not been announced are going to be in there. Obviously, we've already got Laguna Seca. Paul Ricard, as I've said, has been teased. So, keep an eye out on that. You never know what's going to happen. But again, if you want to keep up to date with all our events, make sure to be in the Discord, guys. The Discord is where you can keep up to date with all of our races, all of our video links that we post up for our news. That'll be on the main Simpit channel. Also, join us on Fridays for coffee and sim racing on Twitch. So make sure to come and join us on there as well. That's also hosted by the one and only Mr. Sean Cole. I know Amira Saad today has been talking to a few people about contracts and, well, not contracts, but more sim racing titles and hardware coming out. So look out for those to be coming. We've just released a video today, literally just before this race, on the main Simpit channel for the new Mozart steering wheel. So have a check of that. Don't check out now. Come back to it after having watched the race, because this race is about to get interesting, because we are now 45 seconds away from that pit window opening for the guys to take their mandatory stops. As Callum McLeod now has a Lesh Mum right up behind him. Lesh does look to have a better line there, but then Callum just parks it on the apex going, nope, you're not getting by me here. But Chris Generelli has absolutely pulled away now. He's 7.2 seconds up on Andrew. And he's 4 seconds up on Heiko. So the field is now starting to spread out. But we are now just 10 seconds away from pit window opening. We are going to have a look over at where Chris is on circuit. So Chris has only got 2 more turns left to do. So Chris is, now the pit window is open, is he going to come in and go, no, I'm going to get this pit stop done early? Preferably, if I'm this far ahead and looking at the gaps of the track, I would still want to stay out on the circuit. Make my pit stop as late as possible, just so I am not in traffic. That's where I would want to be, as he's just put a newest fast lap in of a 1:55.7. I don't think anyone today is going to be able to catch up to that lap time. That's an incredibly fast lap time. There's Miss Natalie Lee. She is in pit lane. As you can see, just at the top there, that awkward line, John Crane is coming in, and he's at the pit speed limit to the line now. So, this is where everyone's going. Callum McLeod's also in as well. So, very tight pit lane here, but again, it's nice and long. But the entrances and exits to this pit lane are very awkward.
Yeah, and I'm wondering why do they design it like this?
The track has been updated. The pit lane exit is now more safer, and the entry now comes in off the second to last corner. It's on the exit there, and it runs along the outside and then in. So the profile has changed since the laser scan of this track has been done. I have given the warning that no pit limit uh, penalties will be changed. I will actually put that into the in-game chat. So give me 1 minute, guys. The game is going to lag. I do apologise for that.
It's funny seeing these people on the roof
Oh my
of
days!
the
I've
pit
just
road
seen
building.
something as I've clicked into this screen. Amir Sayed has a stop go 30.
No.
I do not know why Amir Sayed has a stop go 30.
What did he do?
I do not know why he has that stop go 30. That is going to absolutely destroy his race. So
Yeah.
for that reason, will remove that penalty from his time. So this is the only problem about us. I'm using my external system. It does not show me these penalties coming up for the guys. But I got to say it. That's going to shock quite a few people here. Callum McLeod has made a pit stop and not made it dirty. He has not got a time penalty from driving too fast in the pits. That has to be a first this season so far, and we're on now round 5. So just keep an eye on now who is coming down pit road. Amir is in the pits now, so he can serve his mandatory stop. Because that's the thing, he would have had only 3 laps to clear that penalty. But also, it being in the pit window time, it's the worst time to get it. Especially if you're saving your pit stop for the very last part of the pit window, and you get a time penalty, you can turn off the penalty to serve your mandatory pit stop. But a lot of people do not pay attention to that, and I've seen people lose big championships that involving a lot of prize money, have to take their penalty, and then they missed out on doing their mandatory pit stop, and it absolutely ruined their entire race. But that penalty, I can't see why he would have got a stop go 30. The only thing I can think of is when he did that drive. No, because otherwise that was too many laps ago now.
Yeah.
That the only thing I can think of is he sped on that pit lane during his drive through that he got for track limits.
I mean, that draft through was like, what, 6 laps
But
ago?
but that was
7
six.
ago?
Yeah, exactly. That was over 6 laps ago. So I don't believe it was. So Mirsad is now out on track. His pit stop has been cleared. I'm just going to go again into game view. I don't have my wheel connected, so that view is not going to bring up anything. No, his pit stop was clear. No penalties right now, so we are looking good. I do apologise that for some reason whenever I'm in game it makes the stream lag. If anyone can help me fix that issue, you would be an absolute godsend.
Yeah, contact Mike Vowles at.
Contact me either obviously in the Discord. You can contact me directly through message me on YouTube, obviously, and like ping me in the chat. So, but Discord is the easiest for me. I'm literally on there all day long, every day, pretty much. As we see, Mr. Andrew Jaski and Mr. Devon Booth are on pit lane now as well. So as you can see, the little orange marks with the number 1 is they still got to do a pit stop. And how many pit stops they got to do. If it goes to green, it means it's completely clear and there's no more pit stops for them. And it's put your foot down, go, 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 go. So Devon Booth comes out of pit lane. Just going to make again. Just want to make sure that no one's getting penalties right now because that's the worst thing for them. No, everyone's clear on penalties. So this is going to actually double check it a little bit better by coming into this. You know, Mr. Devon Booth doesn't have a penalty this time, so he's been a good boy this time as well. Second PC is easy as answer. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at doing my laptop just so I can have my other Steam account on there, get into the game just to go back and forth. It's the only way I can physically do it, being mainly broadcasting this on myself. Josh is just here in the chat with me to keep an eye on stuff that's on track. So the top 4 are now in the pits. That's the current 4 on circuit. So that's Chris Generelli, Heiko Sherman, James Dowling, Alesh Mum, Stephen McAfee's now in the pits as well. So that's the top 5. So there's only 2 cars who are not taking a pit stop at the moment. Brandon Carl is also coming into the pits this lap. I believe Ken Estep will come in this lap as well. Can't see him pushing out another lap. It will be very tight. Amir Assad and Callum McLeod are getting into a very tight battle here. As Callum McLeod goes for a massive slide in the Mercedes. That was absolutely huge slide there. As Ken Estep is in the pit lane, so everyone is in the pits this lap. So we will only have to hop over just one last time into the in-game to make sure that everyone's pit stops are correct. There has been no speeding. Actually, there's a video just been posted up, and I will put this into the Discord channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is from the one and only Mr. Jardia Honsig, of how to make a perfect pit stop every time in a Assetto Corsa Competizione. So I will put this actually into the channels so I can help everyone in the future. But we are looking at track right now. Everyone has taken a pit stop. Ken is the one still remaining. Do apologise there for me having to mute my mic for a quick moment. But Amir Hazard has actually gained a place here due to that Mercedes going absolutely batshit crazy coming out of the right-hander that they're coming up to again. But look at that Mercedes getting in that BMW's toe. It's got such pull on it. Is he diving up the inside? He is. Keep under control, Callum, please. Oh, side by side. Amir sticks it around the outside. He goes, nope. I don't care that you got the inside. I'm going around the outside. Brave move there. That's one move I would not want to do, especially considering the last lap around, they've seen how loose Callum McLeod was there. That was some very brave stuff there from Mr. Amir Assad. So we look at Mr. John Crane, so he's into 6th. James Dowling is in the pit lane. I can only imagine what this is for. Josh, have you got the ideas what that could be for?
No, not really. It's something.
I'm telling you now exactly what it's for. James Dowling has a stop-go 30. And I can't clear it. And so we're going to have to do a bit of changing around on this. As also, Mr. Andrew Jansky from P2. He has a drive-through penalty. So that is absolutely dire to these guys. Anything I can do for it's going to be really hard to re-edit this. The only thing I can do is reinstate Amir Assad's drive-through penalty, stop-go penalty. But saying that, he already has had a drive-through. So we will have to keep an eye on that. I might have to do some points changing after the round. Might have to sit back and watch the race through. As there you go, Andrew Jansky is now in pit lane for his drive-through penalty. I'm just looking through the race log here. What keeps on everyone's lap times or laps completed from each driver. So it's a big issue for some of these guys here. So I'm just looking through it on my system, see if I can get any more information up. Fortunately, it doesn't show me that, so I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on stuff a little bit more. I'm gonna have to definitely look at doing getting my laptop to work ACC. But it's gonna be a very struggle to do that because it's a very poor laptop. The only thing that's really bugged me now, unfortunately, for that, guys, because I was getting no notification on my end that he had that drive-through penalty, that stop-go penalty. I couldn't clear it for him, and I would have wanted to clear that penalty. So actually, the game now flicks over to Mr. James Allen as he has Mr. Stephen McCarthy right behind him. These guys are fighting at the very back of the grid right now. So Stephen McCarthy must have had an issue because Ken Estep is actually ahead of both of these cars right now. He's ahead by 10 seconds, so I do believe Stephen McCarthy either had problems during the pit or has went off a few times and it's not flagged up on our systems. Because I'm looking at my ACC TV broadcasting system, it only tells me when they've served a penalty, not when they get the penalty. But one of the things I am able to do is see how long changes in pits lane. Okay, so his penalty time. Ooh, that's why Stephen McCarthy's down there. He also had a drive-through penalty on the timing screens here. So I can then time it. So okay, I can remove the time penalty that Mr. James has got here just by deducting 30 seconds. Because the drive-through, basically we deduct it down to a drive-through for him, what we've been doing for everyone else as well anyway. And then reposition him after the race by what time he would be gained from those 30 seconds back. But I don't think it's going to be much, considering Ken Estep at front of these guys is 30 seconds ahead. So I don't think there'll be much changing, if any, if I do clear the penalty, if I do just take the time penalty off and make it as a drive-through penalty. So we could be in a bit of luck here if the times stay roughly as they are. Unfortunately, they are outside the points at the moment, so no championship points are on this table right now. But it will be an overall result change. So that's not going to be too bad to deal with at the moment, but it's something we have to keep an eye on. And something I will be saying that Stephen McCarthy gets it all kind of wrong, kind of a little bit too much on the inside of the fast right-hander coming off that back straight. So we are coming up to 18 minutes remaining. We're looking literally from the helmet camera here now, Mr. James Downing in the Audi. Very nice car. Maybe a company that I'll be working with in the future, we do not know. A few companies, a few teams have approached me for next year, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. I should hear by the end of summer, roughly, and then I'll be able to announce that in the over the winter period of who I'll be with for next year, or if I'm even staying with Mercedes. So as we look at Mr. Devon Booth all the way up in 4th place for Devon Booth here, considering he didn't have such a great qualifying. So I'm just having a look right now. Mr. Devon Booth is currently up 3 places from the start. He started in 7th. The big changes though is Andrew Jaski and Amir Assad. Andrew has fallen back 5 places down to 6th. Amir Assad has fallen down to 8th from 4th. So that's the only big changes there's been in position wise through the whole race. There's been obviously a few places here and there change, but nothing massive other than those two. There's only been that one piece of contact at the very start of the race as well. Well, it's understandable, so that would have been definitely written off as a racing incident, especially considering it's the first lap, so it was under investigation, but obviously no further action would have been taken on that one. So the track is getting warmer out there for the guys now. It is currently 19 degrees track temp, 19 degrees air temp. The track is starting to gain a little bit more extra grip for these guys, also it's getting hotter. They don't want to get it too hot, because being it too hot, that will cause them issues as well. So, in first place is Chris Gianarelli. Second place, Natalie Lee. Natalie's got past Heiko. Don't know if that was through the pits or anything, but Heiko is down into 3rd. Devon Booth, as I said, he's in 4th place. John Crane in that Aston Martin, who's just behind Devon here. He's in 5th. Andrew Jansky, he's in 6th. Alesh Mum 7th. Amir Assad 8th. Callum McLeod 9th. In 10th we have Mr. Brandon Carl. 11th Ken Estep. In 12th, Mr. James Dowling, and in 13th we have Stephen McCaffrey in the one and only Porsche, as Mr. Sean Cole has not made it today, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is a shame to not have Mr. Sean Cole with us, but as we do say, the show must go on even without him here. Obviously we would love to have the sim racing boss with us, but we don't hold back for him. Even if we had to, whilst the session was going on, we'd do a restart just to give him a little bit more time. Mr. McCaffrey's going really wide, really got off track there for Christian already. That's the thing, guys, you do not need to get out of the way of the overtaking cars. All you have to do is stick to your line. If they lunge, if they go for a dive on you, do not defend. That's all you have to do. If you have to continue braking after you would normally brake, and not turn in yet, that's all you have to do. This kind of step has got Mr. James Downing right with him here. Sorry, yeah. So this is actually full position. Mr. James Dowling is now 34 seconds off of Mr. Brandon Carl, this is where it's going to get interesting. Can James Dowling get inside? Don't forget, we are removing that 30-second stop-go penalty. It will then drop down to a drive-through penalty. If he can get in under that 30-second mark at the line at finish, he will be in P10, and Brandon Carl will be 11th. But can he claim and get that car? He's got to find 4.5 seconds in 13 minutes to go. It is possible, but is he capable? That's the thing. What do you think, Josh? Do you think Mr. James Dowling can increase this time and gain time? Because at the moment, just from looking at that gap, he's still actually dropping back. His average lap time, is slower than Mr. Brandon Carl's, but only just. Last lap, Brandon Carl was 2 seconds slower than James. That will be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see in the number of laps.
As Chris Gianarelli is absolutely blasting lap times. A 156.310 is his best. His last lap, lap 23 of this race, was a 157.1 as he's crossed the line now to start lap 24. But the lap before that was also mid 56. He is hammering away for people saying, no, Heiko, yes, you won the warm-up series to this championship, but this championship's going to be mine. Because that is the battle for joint first, as Callum McLeod is in pit lane. Callum McLeod is in pit lane, and I've not been given any information why, so I'm just going to have to look. I can't actually see why Callum McLeod is in, so I'm going to have to go fully into game and see what Callum is up to. Callum McLeod has retired the car. Callum McLeod has retired the one Mercedes that was on grid today. So, James Dowling is now in the points. Is it going to be 1 point or is it going to be 2 points? He is right. He's at that 31 second mark away, so he is gaining time. If he can gain into the time, the points will change. He will not be finishing this 30 seconds gap that he has got to P9 at the moment. He will be 9th if he can get inside of 30 seconds. So do keep an eye on that. Yeah, Callum McLeod disconnected. Unfortunately. Oh, no. As we do say, any type of disconnect is classed as a mechanical failure of the car. It's something that is completely out of our control. It could be that he retired the car, saying there's no point, I'm throwing this away. But he was still in points where he was. So it's a bit unfortunate that we did lose him from today's race. Especially with only under 10 minutes remaining as well now. If you think it's nearly a 2-minute lap here, if it only been 5 more laps, we'll be done. As we look at first place, Mr. Chris Gianarelli, he is absolutely flying. He currently has a 20 second lead over Miss Natalie Lee in her BMW. What? No dead man, no watch. It's not my fault that he unfortunately has retired the car, unfortunately. But we are coming up to the last moments of the race now. We've only got 8 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. But this race has been actually quite... It has been very, very steady. And at the start we were very close on battles as John Crane is actually right behind Mr. Devon Booth. So we'll click over to this battle here. To look back here from the Bentley at the Aston Martin. So there's Deadman in the chat saying tyres kept overheating. All I could get, or all I could do was a 158. Then I was cooking all around. That's a big shame, Deadman. Let's hope for better next time, because obviously next time we are at the mountain of Bathurst, and
Yep.
that is going to be one hell of a fight at that track.
Oh, definitely.
So that's a big unfortunately you had to retire the car today, Deadman. He just said, okay, he's in chat, I'll stay then. Lol. Yep, that's the thing, the guys will all pop their heads in and come say hello in chat if they're not racing. It's like last week, Mr. Brandon Carr was not able to race and that due to issues at his house. So he came and actually joined us in commentary. I believe he is live streaming. I'm not sure if he is actually live streaming today's race over on Twitch. But also Natalie Lee, she'll most likely be streaming the race also over on Twitch as well. So after the race, go literally jump in there and say hi, because she's done a beautiful job today. She's up in second. She's holding back at the moment the current championship standing leader, as well as trying to keep up with the other leader of the championship, because obviously they are tied on points at the moment. The reason I said Heiko mainly is because he is the series champion. Terry Crouch has put, generally is not learning his lesson about gaps yet. Terry, we let them full on race. If they want to blast it, they can blast it out. As Denmark goes, big fingers equals big toes.
That's very big toes.
Yeah. So we've just got up to 6 minutes remaining now. Devon Booth is holding that gap over Mr. John Crane. So Devon Booth is in 4th place here. So well done to him for getting up there so fast. But as we look back over at Chris, just an absolute dominant run from him today. So I do believe that we're going to be roughly having the same times on circuit. Actually, no. Our Bathurst times are going to be even earlier in the morning. I do believe. I'm just going to go into the Sim Racing GP website. This is also where we find when we host our servers. So if you want to join us, sign up on Sim Racing GP, join up for the championship, and come and race out on track with the guys here every single week. Rest in peace their hopes. Chris make them cry for their mums. Well, he's definitely pushing them so far around here. Really making them work. Considering Chris is one of the ones who actually hasn't turned up when we've done the practice servers. So I'm looking at the race times, and I'm going to actually let's have a little bit of fun with the guys for the next race. It will be dry, as we are on the mountain. It's going to be very... Actually, I'm going to have a look how much rain, possibility, what the rain is looking at for the race. So it's quite cloudy. The randomness is 3% randomness, so that's not too bad. Again, no rain. Higher temperatures, or not higher temperatures actually, the ambient temperatures are 26 degrees, so that is very hot.
Getting up there. Yeah.
Especially considering there's only a little bit of cloud. There's going to be a reasonable amount of cloud. But the drivers are going to be racing at very, very early hours of the morning. Because start time is at 5. Yeah. So, these guys are going to absolutely hate me right now, but they're also going to love it at the same time for how graphically beautiful they look. But practice and qualifying is at 4 AM. The race start is at 5 AM, so the same times as it's going to be as it is normally for the Bathurst 12 hour. So they are going to run from pitch black into light. So that's going to be a very, very interesting race for the guys. But we are now within 3 minutes remaining. Chris Generelli is literally put away. James Dowling is inside of that 30 seconds, so he is going to be promoted up into P9. Because he is within that time. He's not fast enough though to catch up to 8th though, because Brendan Carter is 36 seconds back from Mr. Ricard. So as Chris crossed the line now, we should have 2 laps remaining. Let's look at this, back at Mr. Canester. He has been not doing too bad. And also guys, as it's going to be nighttime to daytime at Bathurst, all these cars auxiliary lights out on the car, so Canester has it in the grille across the top of his windshield. You'll see it in the grille and over the arches of the Mercedes on the roof. All the LED lights will be really lit up on show. They're going to be nice and bright for the race, so that's going to be nice to see. But the track is going to be very awkward on conditions for the drivers to drive in, as qualifying and practice is in the complete darkness, and then temperatures will be increasing. I'm not sure how fast they're going to be increasing, but they will be increasing over the space of through the race as it starts to get more and more sunny. So as they're going to be coming over Skyline, they're going to be racing directly into the sun. So that could play factors into the drivers as well. Chris Generelli here is 1 minute away now from taking the win. I do believe he'll have one more lap to go. I don't think he can slow down enough to cover Natalie off, so he might have to push the extra lap just to get around. But we are going to keep an eye on him. So we are going to turn off the autopilot right now. Keep an eye on Mr. Chris Generelli. Yeah, he is definitely going to be doing one more lap, as he's got 30 seconds here. He cannot slow down that much to keep Natalie behind him. So we will go on board with Chris Generelli for his final lap. So as we come down into turn 1, very nicely through here. Not losing all the exit. That's fine. Don't need to. Running a bit wide there, not where I want to run wide, especially if I got track limits warnings, but he's now on to the back straight. The time has expired for the race. This is the final lap. I can turn off one of my race controls now, as that has finished. Guys are all far apart. I don't believe there's going to be any contact, so I don't need that one open no more. So we are now literally just responding to what's happening on track visually, as Mr. Chris Generelli is coming up to finish the very last thing. The funny thing is, he really only started racing ACC. Yeah, that's the thing. You can pick up ACC and be really quick, really fast. You can also pick up ACC and absolutely struggle with it. Key example of that, no lie, is Mr. Daniel Morad. He can't get on with ACC whatsoever. As we look over at Chris Generelli, he's going to come across the line now. So Mr. Chris Generelli does win here at the circuit. James Dowling, he overtook on the before the finish. Why did he overtake? If he stayed behind, he would have been okay, but no, he stayed out on track. Natalie Lee comes home third, Heiko Sherman third, Devon Booth fourth for Booth, John Crane in fifth, Andrew Jansky in sixth, Alesh Mum coming through. They're in the final turn now. I do believe why. I think he knows that. So Leshman comes home in 8th, Amir Saad. No, sorry, Leshman in 7th, Amir Saad in 8th. Brendan Carr, he's still on track. He is still. This James Dowling has come to the pits. James has not finished the final lap. James Dowling has made a massive mistake here. Because he's come back to the line, he's teleported back to the pits before the finish of the race. So there's us going, like, with that time penalty issue, he has thrown it all away by overtaking. And then not finishing. So there's the go, guys. The server has now finished. We will switch over to the track intro just before we end the stream, guys. So, a big mistake there for Steve. I can't think off the top of my head. Mr. James Dowling. Big mistake there. So, your winner today was Chris Generelli in first, Natalie Lee in second, Heiko Sherman in third. That's your top three. The points now lead goes to Chris. Natalie Lee closes her gap now to Heiko. A few guys have made a few mistakes today. They've dropped, going to be losing some good value points. That's like Amir Saad, Alesh Mum. So we'll keep an eye out on that for next round. Like I said, next round is next week, same time. We are going to be at the mountain of Bathurst, so keep an eye on that one. That's going to be a very interesting race, especially considering the weather, what it's going to be like. So keep an eye on that. But my name has been Mike Vowles, alongside Josh here. We will see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.